Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be a what's on my iPhone 12. First things first, just going to start off with the basics, pretty self-explanatory, so I won't go into too much depth, but here are all the apps that I have on the first page. Calendar, camera, app store, FaceTime, photos, notes, clock, mail, maps, books, wallet, and settings. Next up, in a separate folder, I have my main socials, including Line, WhatsApp, messages, and Messenger. Sorry. Basically what Line is a messenger app, but it's more prominent in Asia, and I used to live in Thailand and my whole family is basically in Thailand, so that's why I have both Line and WhatsApp for both countries. So this next page is dedicated to my finances as well as a bit of productivity. So I have the weather app, LinkedIn, Amazon, Outlook, health, reminders, Google Calendar, Gmail, PayPal, Monzo, Santander, and giffgaff. Not that interesting, but these apps are essential in my day-to-day life. Next up, we have my social media page. So I have Spotify, I can't speak today. Spotify, Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. I'll leave all my socials down below if you want to go follow me on any of them. Now we're going to go into the folders, and the first folder is my finance folder, which includes investment apps such as Trading 212 and eToro, and I also have Klarna, which is a financial service app. Sorry, I don't know why I said that like it was a question, but yes, it's a financial service app, and basically you can purchase something from a website that offers services from Klarna, and you can pay in installment payments. So for example, I purchased something from Cult Beauty, but I didn't want to make a full payment, so I've spread it out across 3 months. And just a quick side note, it does not affect your credit score or anything, just so you know. Next up, I call this my Google folder. So I have Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Meets, Google Sheets, Google Drive, just everything Google really. I use these apps a lot for uni because I like to store everything on Google Drive, and therefore I can easily access it on my phone as well. If you guys follow my Instagram blog, you might have seen me post about an Excel sheet that I use to track all my modules and lectures and stuff. And so by having the Google Sheets app on my phone, I can easily access that anytime I want, and it just helps me stay super organized at uni. Definitely recommend. Moving on to my edits folder, I have Color Story, Snapseed, Lightroom, Over, iMovie, Blur Photo, Text on Video, Filmmaker, Plan, and Feed Preview. I use the Color Story app to edit videos, so I can adjust the brightness or saturation or tint, and here's an example of me using it. By the way, I'm not properly doing this, hence why it looks really bad, but I'm just giving you ways in which you can edit the video, such as the tint or the brightness or the saturation. Next up, we have Snapseed. So this is another photo editing app, and I use this after I use Lightroom, mainly because a lot of my photos include a screen, such as a laptop screen or an iPad screen, and when I edit it on Lightroom, it brightens it, and so you can see the reflection on the screen, and I don't really like that, and so I go onto Snapseed to darken the screen. So here I'm using an example photo that I've edited on Lightroom, and now I'm going to use Snapseed to darken the laptop screen. Now onto Lightroom, which is also another photo editing app. I use this app to edit all my photos on Instagram. I actually used to use VSCO, which is a lot less complicated than Lightroom. So definitely start out with VSCO if you're not used to photo editing apps, and then you can upgrade to Lightroom because it can be quite confusing. But overall, I've sort of learned how to use it, and it's become really easy. Now onto the app Over, which I use for fonts and templates. It's a really good app for designing story templates, and it's super easy to use as well. The good thing about it is that you can actually download fonts from a website called Da Font, and then you can import the font into Over, and then you can use it for your templates. Next up is Blur Photo, which is pretty self-explanatory. It does what it says, it blurs photos, and here's an example of me using it. The next app is text on video, and again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can add text onto video. And here's an example of me using it on that coffee video again. We also have Filmmaker Pro, which is basically just like iMovie, but I just wanted to test it out. That's why I downloaded it. I'm not going to get into it much because it's basically just another video editing app, and I much prefer using iMovie than Filmmaker Pro. Next up are the two main Instagram feed planners that I use. Since I have my shop and main Instagram blog, to avoid paying, I just downloaded two apps. Since most of the time you're required to pay to add another extra account onto the app. So I just avoided this by downloading two apps, and they work really well. This next folder is quite boring, and it's just my analytics for Google and YouTube. And last but not least on this page, I have the Etsy seller app, the Etsy app, and Eventbrite and Atapol. Eventbrite is where I book all my library sessions at the university. And then Atapol is a survey app where you can do a load of surveys and get money from them, basically. I've got £5 so far, and my sister's actually got £16 from it, so it is legit. I find that it works so much better than all the other survey apps that I've used, although you can get disqualified sometimes for not having the characteristics needed for the survey. Now moving on to my productivity page. First, I have the app Forest, which is a productivity app that helps you stay focused. Whenever you're productive, you can plant a tree or bush, and you can set the timer up to 180 minutes. Through the course of months and years, you can see how much you've stayed productive for that year. Sometimes I do forget to plant the plant when I'm productive, so it's still a habit that I'm trying to incorporate into my life. And what better way to stay productive and save the planet? The company themselves do plant real trees in real life, and this is done through earning credits from not using our phones. Next up is Plant Nanny, and it's similar to Forest, but this time you're tracking your water intake. So you can set the milliliters of water you usually drink in one go, and then whenever you drink water, you just water the plant as well. Since I forgot to pack my data from my last phone, I have to start again with Plant Nanny, but it's alright. I think it's really good because it helps me keep track of how much water I drink a day and to see if I'm actually meeting my daily requirements. Next up is Monify, which is a personal finance management tool. It's an expense tracker already split into categories, so it makes it super easy to track your expenses. And since I track my expenses using an Excel sheet, Monify makes it easy for me to do this at the end of the month, so I don't actually have to go on the Excel sheet every time I spend something. I just go on my phone onto the app and I can track down what I've spent. And then at the end of the month, I can update my Excel sheet. Moving on to the app Journal. This is also another app to track productivity. You basically rate your day depending on how productive you were. They actually give you a 6-color reference, so if you hardly did anything that day, you rate it red, and if you exceeded your goals, then you rate it dark blue. And to rate your day, you just tap on the date multiple times to set the color. In the end, it just gives you a really nice overview. Moving on to the app Countdown, another app that's pretty self-explanatory. If you have an exam or birthday or a special event coming up, you can set the date and it will just help you track down the days till that date. Adobe Scan is a document scanning app, another app that's better explained by demonstration, so here's an example. Then we have Student Beans, which is a discount app for students. You can find the latest discounts on here, and you can also apply the code to specific websites that offer student discounts. And now we have the app Airtime Rewards. This app lets you earn cashback on purchases that you make with your debit card, but the cashback is in the form of mobile credit. So if you spend on any of these brands that are listed in the app, you can also at the same time pay for your phone bill. Next up is the app Do. It's a to-do list app that you can use to track your daily tasks. Whenever you complete a task, you just tap on it and it'll cross it out. I then have the Nike Run Club app, which tracks your running route, your pace, and the time. Going into the folders, I have the service folder, which includes Uber Eats, Uber, Deliveroo, and Trainline. Next up, I have this shop folder, which includes Wish, Shein, Superdrug, Depop, and AliExpress. The health folder includes Clue, MyFitnessPal, and Renpho. Lastly, I have this utilities folder, which I won't get into because it's just a mixture of everything really. This is my dumping folder. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching what's on my iPhone 12, and if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. It will help me a whole bunch.